Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Hey, this is Doug Jones, also known as the Silver Surfer. You are listening to Nuff Said.
Welcome to the Nuff Said podcast. This is a special, it's not really a special. We're going to do this for 7 weeks, I guess. Agent Carter edition of Nuff Said. Tonight we're talking about the pilot and Bridge and Tunnel. They showed the first 2 episodes as one 2-hour chunk, I guess last night. I was going to say tonight because I watched it today. But, hey, I'm your host. I should say I'm one of your hosts. I am Retro Rob Southgate. With me is...
Jocular Jack Wingrosky.
You have been jocular so many times.
I have not been jocular, have I?
I think so.
All right, well, let's hear Lil's. Maybe I'll come up with something else.
Okay, you can be jocular. Who cares?
I'm accident prone a little.
Oh, so very true.
It is.
That's a lot to put on yourself, man.
No, man, it's the truth. The Lil's having a heck of a 2015, and it's only, 5 days into it or something?
7
days.
7 days in. A Lil is spinning downward.
Yeah.
Well, it can only go up from here.
That is
Wah,
true. If
wah.
this is the worst that happens, I'll take it.
True.
But it won't.
True.
There we go.
Oh, poor Lil. So, okay, I say let's start talking about this thing. I didn't take any notes whatsoever. I just watched.
And I want to find out what happened.
You're the worst. You're the worst. So,
Yeah,
okay.
For those listening at home, Jack never watches the shows.
Now, wait. What if I'm
No.
listening in my car?
There's a difference. I usually watch the show. I don't listen to the podcast. There's a difference.
That's true. That's true. And that's why the quality of what you do is so high. You like that?
Yeah.
So, okay, I just want to get initial thoughts. Jack, I'm throwing it to you first. What did you think?
I really liked it. I love the big band stuff, being a jazz guy. There was like some killer jazz trumpet thing right off the top. And
Yeah,
like,
did you know who that was, or was that just studio musician number 1?
no, I think I'm thinking that was Fats Navarro, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean that was some playing.
Yeah, that was some like full on bebop. I think there might have been some modern recording in there, but there was a lot of good, old music, and just the opening with Agent Carter and kind of where it took off from the movie. It was great, as she reintegrates back into, more a realistic society,
Sure.
post World War II, is, the girls that were in the factories and all of a sudden they're not anymore, and the guys are taking their jobs back, and the women are kind of going back to the kitchen, and these guys, coming back from the war, and just, it seemed, kind of realistic. It was very surprising. They didn't just go in and make her like this, like
hey, she's head of S.h.i.e.L.D. now, and let's get all snappy with it. No. It
No,
wasn't that
no.
at all.
no, not at all. And, even the vet, that had to walk with the crutches, tries to come to her aid, and the other guys just like crush him.
Right.
It was like, man, these guys are going to have to earn every little bit that they get. And the Jeeves, I think a lot of the people that have been following Iron Man and Jeeves are kind of used to him being
Or Jarvis, but
or
you
Jar-
call him
yeah.
Jeeves.
yeah, Jarvis, Jeeves, same thing. I've been doing computer searches here. Ask Jeeves. My bad. But
Even that's an old reference. Does that even exist anymore?
I don't know. So anyway, uh,
Welcome
you're
to 2000.
that's right. This is the 2000 podcast with your host, 1980s Jack Wendrowski.
Right.
So Rob is trying to keep me off the tracks as much as possible, but I'm going to get back on and say,
Hold on, dial into my CompuServe again. Hold on.
is CompuServe still around? I don't think they are.
I have no idea. I figured if anybody had a CompuServe email address, it would be you.
I still have AOL, and people every once in a while they go, AOL?
You're the one.
It's, but
You're going to get a prize from them at the end of the year. Like, finally, last person with an AOL account. Thank you, Jack Wendrowski.
That's true, but I'm not actually paying for it anymore. I was still paying the fee up till last year just so I could get all the extra support. And I didn't need any of the support, so.
Sadly, I think your email address is Jack Wendrowski 62, which means 61 were ahead of you, but
No, there's only one Jack Wendrowski.
oh, we know that. So what are we talking about? So you liked it?
I did. Thanks for getting me back on track.
How about you? Go ahead, Jack.
Oh, just to finish what I was saying.
Jack, you never finish what you're saying.
I never finish what I'm saying.
No.
But,
I think you're still having the same conversation we had the day we met, and that was, 30 years ago?
Oh, yeah, to finish that point was...
yeah, you still have it?
The fish was bigger than my arm.
Oh, finally, I got the end of that story.
So, anyway, back to Jarvis or Jeeves.
Yes.
But it was cool to see him back as a real person again.
Yeah.
And they're going to kind of develop... I think they're going to develop that character because they really did start slow. He's like, I am not staying up past 9 o'clock because me and my wife are at 9 o'clock, we're done. And, she keeps calling him at 8:30 is like, Jeeves, hey man, we need you now.
I actually was enjoying that impression quite a bit, Jack. You're showing off your impression skills again.
You sound just like Agent Carter. I mean,
no, he was doing Jeeves, but that's okay. Or Jarvis.
Right.
No, you got me doing it.
He first did both.
Actually, it was kind of, I slipped into a Great White North.
Well, you know what? That's the one impression we can all do.
That's right. Take off, eh? You big hoser.
The wife and I, we got to go to bed at 9 o'clock, eh?
Hey, I've actually got a few views on my Facebook site. I finally did a group thing of let's get the Great White North guys to have them meet the Wolfman, and I actually got 4 new views.
Excellent. Did you really? Are people actually going to it?
People are actually starting to go to it.
Wow. And it's not just me, because I go to it.
I know. Well, maybe it's just you 4 times.
It could be.
Because it's not me, that's for sure.
Oh, how dare you, Alil. You would have. Know. I bet you have the action figures.
Your karma would
improve
if you did go. I'm just saying.
You have the action figures, don't you? Bob and Doug McKenzie?
Of course.
I do, actually.
I didn't even know they had them.
Oh, yeah. McFarlane Toys. They did the Bob and Doug McKenzie. And I also have the bloody version of the Hanson brothers from Slapshot.
No way.
That's right.
Awesome.
That's right. Everybody be envious. That's why the ladies love me.
And see, that's the tie-in back to Marvel is that you have the action figures.
There you go.
We'll connect those dots. All right, Jack, you are like quicksand tonight for me. I don't know what it is. Alil, what did you think?
All right, I really enjoyed it. I liked the late 40s feel to it. I really liked the integration of the Captain America radio show. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a lot of fun, especially every time they were playing it. That Peggy wanted it turned off because she was disgusted by how she was being portrayed in it. I was shocked that they actually had the clip from Captain America: First Avenger.
Yeah, so was I. That was a pleasant surprise.
It was. I mean, for the people who didn't watch First Avenger, There's people out there that haven't. It's kind of a quick tie-in, and you don't need to have watched that movie to know.
Right.
And there was some references to the Cap, and I like that. But I thought Peggy Carter did very well on her own, and she kicked some ass. And the other thing too is she took some hits. And if you look at a lot of the Marvel movies, or even movies with like a female hero, most of the time they're regulated to fighting other women. You rarely see them going in and kicking another man's butt and then having that man actually hit her. Like
Right.
even in Guardians of the Galaxy, like they had the Star-Lord and Gamora kind of fight, but it really wasn't a fight. But this was an all-out kind of thing where they were really hitting.
Yeah.
Well, of course it was acting, but they were really hitting each other and going back and forth. And I was really surprised by that, but I really liked that.
Yeah,
her action thing up on top of the train, that fight, and ends with her shoving the knife through his hand, and he goes down with the train. That was pretty action packed.
You mean on top of the milk cart?
Yeah, the milk cart thing.
Milk cart thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another thing is I thought that they kind of brought the violence here, aside from the fighting, stuff like when she stuck the fork into the guy's side. Like she seems kind of ruthless, which is excellent. I think they're playing against what we normally view as a female character in something like this, and I think that's why we were so excited for this, because that short for Agent Carter was very much like that. She was completely against what you expected.
Yeah,
and that's what makes it so great. It's different, especially with all so many of these, Shield aside, so many of these superhero shows that are everywhere now. It seems like the female characters can kind of be interchangeable. They're the nerd girl scientist, they're the cute brainy, they have these, I don't know. I don't know. I just get confused by a lot of them. Like I forget what show they're on because they all kind of seem the same. Shield, I don't really feel that way, even though they still need development. Peggy Carter hit the ground running. You know who she is. She's interesting. She's different. I was all for it, but I've been all for this series from the beginning.
And they spent some money on this one because everything was laid out really well.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see where it goes because watching it, that very first episode, I think the reason they did the 2 on the first night rather than doing 1 and then waiting a week is because a lot of times pilots are a little different. They use the pilot to sell the show. I'm sure that they probably shot this pilot for Agent Carter, went, okay, look what we got. We're building this. Here you go. Because the second episode was different. It had more, it seemed to be locked in more. And I'm excited to see where this goes because just that preview for what's coming up seemed to be even more of what I was enjoying about this. Like it seemed to go even further. So I think that there was a reason they did 2 in the first night, and I think that was a really wise choice because that second episode was super engaging.
No,
now,
I agree with that.
Did you guys think that I was suckered in. I thought the roommate was going to be a spy or something, and then she ends up dead.
Well, because I was actually going to go back to that because you were talking about like the violence. There was a lot of murder here, like straight up murder, like people
right
getting shot in the head. And I was watching this with the kids because it was Marvel, and all of a sudden my girls are squealing, and I was just like, yeah, she'll be okay.
that hole in her head, it's just to drain the evil spirits out. It's okay.
I was a little shocked by the murder, but I was like, okay, well, this is where they're going to go with it, which is fine.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that it kind of went for it, and it was especially the second episode where it really seemed to kick in. I like how they upped the ante too without supers showing up.
Right.
They had like they kept talking about Leviathan, and they showed those weapons that Stark made. And that is very much Marvel superhero stuff going on, but we don't have there. I didn't ever feel like where's the guy in the cape? Not once. Whereas on Shield, I think that was a big criticism for a long time is where are the supers? But here, it doesn't need it.
Right. Well, it's a different thing with Agent Carter. The focus is
Agent Carter.
Agent Carter post World War II. the Vita Ray was like, that was the biggest really of the sci-fi focus was, the Vita Ray thing, which is what empowered the captain in the first place.
Right. Yeah, I
But-
love that scene where they're like, "Have you heard of Vita Ray?" And she's kind of got that misty look. You're like, "Oh, of course she's heard of Vita Ray. Her boyfriend had it."
And then it goes right into all the the backstory.
Yeah, I also like the reference to the Red Skull when he was like, another guy's got to try and be the Red Skull, and I was like, "Yep, that's awesome, Howard Stark." I was kind of sad that Howard Stark wasn't in it more. I enjoyed him in the first episode. The second episode, he wasn't there, and I was like, I think he needs to be on the show a lot. I like him.
I wonder if they're going to kind of do a kind of a Nick Fury where,
Like he's in one episode at the beginning, one at the end.
yeah,
I hope not.
yeah,
I think it's too short to do that. The series has to kind of pick up quickly because we're only getting 7 episodes.
Right. Well,
To move it forward from 8, yeah, to move it from point A to point B. It's not 22.
right.
So I really do think that all these episodes are going to be pretty action packed and pretty moving it forward very quickly. Because we still don't even know if we're going to get a season 2.
right. Well,
You know what? If you saw the numbers on the pilot, we're getting a season 2 out of this thing. Unless this thing completely nosedives, this is a winner for them.
yeah, this even Agents of Shield, we really had to go. It's coming. It's lame now, but we know it's coming. And it took 4 or 5 episodes, and went, okay, I see where they're going. And then a couple after that, it's okay. This is awesome.
Right.
This thing kicked off right off the bat.
Yeah. Once again,
Yeah,
that's
but
why they did the
even-
2 episodes together, because it really did by doing that.
It did.
But even with Agents of Shield, I mean, even this season we've talked about it, how they tend to drag things out. I mean,
Yes.
this show's not going to have that.
No,
we're not
they
going to
can't.
have 5 episodes until we get to where we know we're going with the Inhumans. We're going to get that episode is going to lead into that because
I wonder with this, and I really like this idea of having it between the 2 halves of the Shield season. I wonder if they're viewing this the way they're viewing the Daredevil thing on Netflix, because Feige has said a number of times in places, or it's probably the same quote repeated a number of times, that Daredevil is a 12-hour Daredevil movie. That's how he looks at it. Like, you want your Daredevil movie? This is a 12-hour Daredevil movie. It'll probably be 1 season because that's what it is. And I wonder if they're doing that here, where they're going, we can tell a story in 8 hours. It's 1 single movie, and we got to keep this thing moving because this might be it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think much like a
miniseries is.
Yeah, like the epic comics. You had 8 or 9
Right.
in a row, and
One
that was the
storyline,
extent. One
bam.
storyline.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that this becomes an ongoing thing, just because it's done so well, and I haven't seen something take off this fast.
Right.
And
it's just really cool. I mean, I just really had a fun time with the whole thing.
yeah, I mean, this was like 60s Batman to me. It was like, I can't wait to same bat time, same bat place. It was really that kind of older style.
Yeah,
And
it didn't have the cheese factor of that.
I was
but
just
yeah.
about to say minus the huge campy factor. Yeah,
Right.
right.
This was
and Adam
this was
West's bulge.
well,
Well,
you had
thanks
to
for
go there,
that.
didn't you?
Oh wait, here we
I
go.
was talking about.
Oh, Lil.
There we go.
How come every podcast you bring up somebody's bulge? What's up with that?
Hey, I
You
would-
know.
That's the glass houses right there.
I was gonna say it's my trademark, but it could be Rob's trademark as well.
I think it might be the Nuff Said trademark.
What?
Speaking of Rooter over there, I think it might be the Nuff Said trademark.
There we go.
So, okay, so there was a lot of stuff introduced. Now, were there, maybe I just wasn't catching it, but were there characters other than the obvious ones that we were introduced to? Because I kept feeling that there might be, like the guy with one leg. I'm like, is he somebody? I didn't recognize his name or anything, but it's just like on S.H.I.E.L.D. where you start wondering, like, is this going to be somebody? Was there anyone that you noticed like that? I mean, obviously Howard Stark and Agent Carter, we know who they are.
Well, do you think he's going to be like somebody that's going to be introduced to the Vita Ray in
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Because
You really think they're going to bring supers into this?
I don't.
No, I don't. I'm just wondering if. See, it's not that I'm saying that they bring supers into this. I'm not saying like Agent Carter by episode 6, all of a sudden a dude in tights shows up and it's Adam West and Lil gets very excited. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, hey, old
Very
chum,
excited.
check this out. I'm saying,
Holy package, Batman.
Thanks for the delivery.
explicit rating. Oh, look, it came by drone. Thanks, Amazon. So that trumpet is so annoying. I got to say it right now.
It's a cornet, actually, but that's probably the issue.
That's
I
why
called
it's
it
annoying.
a horn.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is, if anyone's still paying attention to me, it's not that we'll see the one-legged guy turn into a super here. It's that these characters, it's like Dum Dum Dugan and those guys. Those are characters from the comic books. And I wonder if we may never even see him turn into something. He could be referenced on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as, they did the experiment on whatever this guy is, and he was able to do X, and he was kind of one of the first supers. You had Captain America, then you had this guy. I wonder if there's that kind of thing, like they're going to lay some of these like middle groundwork people, because it's a long stretch between Captain America and then nothing. And then all of a sudden we've got Thor and Inhumans and Iron Man. It's like there's a gap. And I wonder if some of these characters are going to fill in the gap, but they're going to be more sporadic, and they're not the characters that we all know.
Well, I wonder if instead of supers that they'll kind of stick to the super soldier theme, because you
Start
already
making super soldiers out of them, like with him.
right.
What if they make him like the Bionic Man and they give him a bionic leg? How awesome would that be?
It's a possibility. I think they'll kind of continue something more with the Vita Ray. I think they've already spent quite a bit of time on it, and I think
they've set it up
to set it up, and it keeps you from having to deal with the supers, but it gives you that element. That's just a thought.
Yeah, I just don't know. I just wondered if you guys caught anybody there.
I don't know. I mean, my guess on this, we did hear a name drop. I think they said something about a Russian scientist named Vanko. From Iron Man.
Right.
And
okay, that brings up something. I got something when you're ready, when you're done.
All right. I think the guy that we were talking about with the leg, I think that's going to be her husband.
Oh, they do.
She talked in one of the flashback scenes in one of the movies. Was it Cap 2? No.
Yeah, Cap 2 is the one where where she's old.
Yeah, it wasn't that one. There was another one where they were showing like a video of her back in like the 60s, and I think he was watching it talking about
what could that be? I don't remember that. It definitely wasn't in Avengers, right?
No, it wasn't in Avengers. Now I'm drawing a blank on where I saw this.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be either Thor, which it's
no, it was in Winter Soldier. It was in Winter Soldier.
Okay, that's Cap 2.
Yeah, it was okay.
Which when he was looking at the Howling Commando stuff, and then it had her there. Right.
Yeah, and she was talking about like meeting her husband after he kind of dropped something that he was one of the ones who survived the war and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
it seemed like they had that kind of chemistry.
Yeah, and then he had a bionic leg. That'd be awesome. Maybe they'll give him a Hulk leg. And that brings us around to She-Hulk. Let's talk She-Hulk as usual.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
I knew it was headed there.
You brought up Vanko. You brought up the Russians. I want to read you something here. It's called Goodnight Moon. And no, it's not. I looked up Leviathan because they made a reference to this, and I have not heard of Leviathan. Have either of you heard of, other than the awesome movie with RoboCop as the lead, have you heard of Leviathan in the Marvel Universe?
Not that I can remember, no.
Okay. So here's what I found. I typed it in, and I typed in Leviathan Marvel, and it's part of the Earth 616. Okay. Here's what it says. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm already editing it, but there's a cool picture of these weird looking guys. It says, little is known of this mysterious organization. It was born out of the communist bloc in the same way that Hydra was born out of the Axis powers. So this is going to be an Eastern Bloc Hydra, sort of. Okay. It says that they don't know. There's not much known about these guys, though. So this is kind of a really under the radar type group. Okay. I don't know. It's really weird. It says that their allies are the Soviet Union, the Eastern Bloc. Their enemies. Now get this. This is where it gets interesting. Their enemies are the Howling Commandos and Hydra.
Wow.
So it says that during the Dark Reign, when S.H.I.E.L.D. had been disbanded in favor of Hammer and Hydra was tied up fighting the renegade Nick Fury, Leviathan decided to strike, dealing Hydra a massive blow. Are we going to see, is this laying groundwork so that on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because, I mean, if you read this, doesn't it sure sound like kind of what's going on, and it's leaving the door open for another group to attack? Could Hammer be what Mockingbird is involved with? Could that be Hammer? And Leviathan comes up and starts fighting with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra. And that would give us, a hell of a thing going on S.H.I.E.L.D., wouldn't it?
It gives you the whole backstory.
I mean, it just fills it in. And could this be what we're seeing here?
Wow, that would be a heck of a tie-in.
And if they're not,
that would be so confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, for somebody who, let's just say you don't watch Agent Carter,
right?
And they're bringing this thing in 8 episodes, and it's going to be, it's going to be quick. Then we're going in and with everything going on with.
Yeah, but they don't have to bring Leviathan
S.H.I.E.L.D.
in until next season. This season could end after Avengers, because after Avengers 2, we know that everything's going to tie in. We also know they're saying that Agent Carter, there is some kind of tie-in to the Avengers film. I mean, obviously
Agent Carter
Jarvis
has a tie-in as well.
Yeah, obviously it's Jarvis or Jeeves. And I mean, obviously there's that, like you're going to learn about him, and then you learn why Tony has this thing about Jarvis, and then boom, everything goes south. Spoiler, Ultron's a bad guy. But could we not have something with this other group that is mentioned in Avengers, this Leviathan, this Russian group, because Tony Stark has dealt with Venko. Tony has dealt with Whiplash. I mean, there's stuff there. This is kind of a peripheral group, which isn't that kind of what S.H.I.E.L.D. is about? Like it kind of deals with the peripheral thing.
And maybe that group takes in the Winter Soldier.
Exactly.
He has a home for a while.
Yes. Could we have cracked the code with this?
I doubt it, but who knows?
Wouldn't be the first time.
We're not that smart. I've dumbed your show down, guys. Remember?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you read this thing, this is really interesting because this is just this little tiny thing. I don't even know what it's from. I mean, it's on the Marvel website. Oh, it was. You know what? It says first appearance was the Secret Warriors. Last appearance was Battle Scars. I don't even know what those are, but these are recent. Just like we keep talking about Sword and how we're expecting that to make an appearance. This is a recent thing that has not been in very much. But when you read the description of what it is, I mean, it's like it's talking about how they stole the Hydra and the Hand. What's the Hand?
The Hand. They are like ninja assassins, kind of like a League of Shadows kind of thing, like in the DC universe. They're like these ninjas that I know they were in the Elektra movie, which 10 people saw, and they're in the Daredevil books. They're they've fought Wolverine, all these characters in the comics,
right?
And so that would be a crazy tie-in.
Well, it's
they brought
in
them
this.
in
It's
also
listed
because
as being that, and then it says when S.H.I.E.L.D. is disbanded in favor of Hammer, Hydra fights Nick Fury, and then that's when the Leviathan strike and caused major damage to Hydra. And it says that this becomes a massive three-sided war between Hydra, Leviathan, and Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos PMC. The Howling Commandos have all but wiped out. While both Hydra and Leviathan have... I'm stumbling all over my words tonight. I think I'm just getting excited. I'm verklempt over the whole thing. It just sounds crazy, man.
Are you taking my pain meds?
I might be. And just in case you couldn't tell from this, their alignment is bad. That's what it says on here.
No.
Yeah. Current members, Madam Hydra.
So how'd you like the, what did they call that? The laryngoscopy that the guys had so they couldn't talk? You know, she always pulls their shirt down and there's a little Y cut into their throat.
They put the thing up.
It
got annoying.
They didn't do it that much.
I am your 11th grade math teacher. Welcome to my class. No.
Bitty bitty buck.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I knew you'd like that, Jack.
I actually saw those first run.
Well, so did I. Lil probably wasn't born yet when those were on.
No, probably not.
No, but he has the action figures in the Blu-ray set.
Always.
Everything I mentioned, you have. Well, you know, I did watch it 17 times. Really? I only watched Buck Rogers once. So, you know, I wasn't a big fan, but I did watch it 17 times and have the action figures. Actually, my impression was more like Jack because I can't help but sound like that. But
well, you know, you could always take that on the road.
That's true.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then it mentions this Victor Uvarov in here, who is Orion. And he was one of the head guys of Leviathan.
Huh.
Wow. Yeah, this is really... He was a leader and founder of Leviathan. His main goal was to destroy Nick Fury and Baron von Strucker. I mean, come on. This is all over this. I'd never heard of this group.
Wow.
Well, you know, and this is the second time that they've done this on TV, because with the reveal of the Inhumans and Sky, you know, they pulled a book that, I mean, was known in the comic universe, but not by everyone, and pulled little plot lines out of there, and you know, blindsided us with it.
Right.
Which I like that. I think that's
so do I.
cool.
Well, you know, that's something that we talked about way back when we first started doing this podcast, and we were talking about the possibilities. The thing that Jack and I discussed right in the beginning a lot was about Halle Berry as Catwoman, and about this idea of taking these tiny little threads that Marvel has, put those as the story and flesh them out here. That's where S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be strongest. Yeah, everyone's waiting for Iron Man to show up, but you know what? At this point, I don't need Iron Man to show up. I really don't.
And
would it be fun? Sure, but it's not hinging on it anymore. Now I want to see what happens to Sky. I want to see Leviathan now that I've read about this.
Right. And it's nice. It's not dependent on so many things of the MCU. But it is within the MCU. You really can find these really interesting side stories, and that's really cool. Like the fact that you can go back to Leviathan and say, it's here. We didn't even know it was there.
Right. Well, and that's what it's saying here. Like, this is a major thing, but it says little is actually known about this group.
Huh.
Except by Charlie. I'm sure he's going to have plenty to say on super connectivity about every bit of this.
And everything we are saying right now is wrong.
Guaranteed. But you know what? Didn't we say that Spider-Man would be coming? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We are not starting this right now.
All I have to do is say Kree.
Right. Jack wins. Jack wins Shield. So yeah, I don't know, man. I just really enjoyed it. I loved I loved the imagery, like the glowing yellow stuff inside the milk truck. Reminded me of Pulp Fiction, or I'm old school, so it actually reminded me of Repo Man. I was like, yeah, Repo Man when they opened the trunk.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I thought that was really cool. Yeah, there was just so much I liked. There was just so much that was cool. I loved even the like James Bondy stuff when she pulled out the lipstick and it was it wasn't called Night Night. What was it called?
Something's
Not
something
Knockout,
nights.
Night Sleep or something. And
Yeah.
she put it on and kissed that guy. Spider was his name. I thought
Like
that was great.
Sleepy Nights 102 or something like that.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. And I love that, it was the whole Maxwell Smart thing, like, oh, I work at a flower shop, Chief. Instead of saying where she really works, she has to say that she works for the post office?
The telephone company,
Telephone company, yeah.
right? Was it?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
the
because
telephone company.
when she comes into the office, she goes through the switchboard and the just from the previews, it was that same scene. Love the hat.
Yeah, right. Right.
That's funny. One of the I think it's called Slate, and they talk about how the anti-sexist superhero show, and her complaint was it's still a world of men. Like it's even though it's mostly about her,
You mean
it's like
on this show?
Yeah, on this show, and I don't know if I agree, but the two
I think
men
it's playing against that, don't you?
I personally I don't think so. I mean, she kind of lists off a lot of things that kind of make her case. Like the two guys that we really pull behind are Jarvis, who really kind of she calls effeminate. I don't know that he's effeminate, but and the other one
I didn't get that at all.
No, I didn't either, but apparently she goes on quite a bit about it.
I thought he was.
And the guy with one leg, so that, a lesser man is, that, men that are kind of taken down a notch are fine, are the good men, and then everybody else is bad. But I don't think that's the point at all.
I think this person missed the point. I really do. That was in Slate, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they really missed the point with all that. I mean, I can see how you could make an argument that, yeah, she's attracted to the lesser man missing the leg, and Jarvis is not a He-Man. But you know what? Great. He doesn't. He's smart. He's very much, and there's always the Batman comparisons. He's very much Alfred in the way Alfred is considered now, where he's got a history. He can actually do things and not just be a butler. But he's very proper, and he's, in the background, so to speak. And I think that's why Jarvis is so important. I didn't find him to be effeminate. I found him to be proper and playing his role. And the guy with the one leg, I mean, this is a war hero who lost his leg. I think that he's a good companion for her because he was a decent guy. And yeah, a lot of those guys were lunkheads, but let's face it, at that time in the workforce, I mean, even Jack, when we were kids, women in the workforce, a lot of times, you'd hear stuff about like, controversy about women in the workforce. It's like, really? Because they just have to work. And that we weren't in the 40s. I mean, you might have been, but it wasn't in the 40s. So, I mean, to me, I think this is watch it a little. We're going to make fun of you being old. But it's not like, I think they're actually being fairly accurate. And I don't think every male character was a bad guy here. I think you had your few that stood out as sexist jerks, and she stuck a fork in one of them.
Right.
She got the upper hand on that guy. But I certainly don't think that it's like, I don't know. I think she might have missed the point.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you've got you're trying to make something that is of the times, but something that is better than the times. That's why we get Agent Carter.
Right.
That's why she is our main focal point. But she's got to play up the part. And like the Joe DiMaggio picture at the end.
Right.
She's playing a game here.
Right.
But you know what? Now that we're talking about this a little bit more, and I've been digesting this conversation. I also think the guy with the leg, the one who I think is going to be her husband.
Yeah.
I think he knows that blonde was Peggy.
Oh, you do?
When they were looking at the pictures, I bet you they got a picture, and he hid that picture.
Oh, you think?
I'm thinking it. I'm thinking that those pictures, and that's going to come back at some point in this season.
Yeah. It would be good, but when she did pass that camera, she clearly turned her head.
Oh,
but
yeah.
But they said that they got more pictures. There was more than one photo.
Right. Well, and she was so nervous when she came in, and they were looking. They're like, "Look, right here, you can see." And then they show it's the Joe DiMaggio picture. Yeah. But I think I would not be surprised if that didn't come back. Although I'll tell you what, I actually think he may not know at this point. I'll tell you, he is going to know, and I'll tell you how I know he's going to know. Let me tell you how I know he's going to know. Did you notice when it showed the picture,
you could see like mark or something?
Yeah, like a mole or something on her shoulder.
I saw that
so
too.
Obvious to me.
I thought the same thing. Like they're gonna get intimate at one point, and
he is gonna
see it.
So see that. Not even intimate. It might just be that she's getting changed to do something, and he goes, "I know.
I remember that mole."
Yep.
We just hope it's not irregularly shaped.
Well, we know she's alive in today, so it's okay.
Well, that's good. Shoo!
Oh, she might want to get that checked. Somebody call Dr. Banner.
She's been around a lot of Vita-Rays, so I'm sure that doesn't help.
Yeah.
Oh, how about the scene where they give her the Vita-Ray detector to check all the women, and so she goes into the bathroom and she like checking all her stuff up, and then the watch just completely lights up. I didn't get that though. It's like, why did only the watch light up? Maybe because it was made of metal.
No, I think it's because like your clothing and stuff like she was saying absorbs it, and I think that's the only thing that she can constantly keeps on.
Oh yeah, like the clothes that she took off. She may have the clothes at home, that she had that day might still have it, but
that watch was still on.
Yeah.
Right. That was a shame because that watch was cool.
But that's why she then had the locker idea when she saw the guy that she saw.
Yeah. Because we knew he was there.
Yeah. You know what? As you're talking here, I'm also looking up. I found an article in Observation Deck where it's got secrets of this premiere episode. And as we talk, I'm sure I'll be thumbing through this. But one of the things it has is what you were talking about, Alil. In Winter Soldier, when it showed the footage of Peggy, it didn't say that he was the one-legged guy, but there is a picture of her with her husband, and she says that Cap actually saved her husband during the war. So that's something. If that comes out, that Captain America saved this guy, I think that you just put a big piece together there.
Yeah, and I think there was a hint when she was looking at that picture of Steve, and he came in and he said, I couldn't remember what exactly he said, but she said, "Well, you were lucky, or you're one of the lucky ones."
Right.
And I think that's kind of how I was trying to piece it together, that he was saved by Cap because he noticed that she was looking at that file, and I'm thinking that's my guess. Here's my prediction: that's her husband, and that's going to be I think he's going to be not a like a love story here, but I think he's going to be the one that's going to be the help for her going forward. When she's leaving clues like that license plate at the end of the second episode and things like that. He's going to be the one inside that's going to kind of erase her mistakes.
Right.
You know, the picture, the whatever.
Right. He's going to have her back on that level, like in the office. Yeah.
Right.
And they prefaced that at some point when somebody was telling her, look, you can't do this stuff alone. And then she starts reaching out to that waitress, and that would be the perfect opportunity for her to align with somebody at the office. And so, that'll expand his as her support network grows.
Right. And I think I think that's how it's going to build, because she's going to need that support network. She's going to need the waitress at some point. She's going to need to start trusting everybody, and Jarvis brings it up himself. So,
well, aren't they setting her up to pretty much be in charge at some point?
I don't think we're going to see it here. I think this arc is to clear Howard.
This brought up a question though. Does everything that we've seen has been canon, right? But why is this not matching up to that Agent Carter short, the one shot that we saw? This obviously is a prequel to that, but in that one, she was really relegated to a desk.
Right.
I don't think it's a prequel. I think it's...
Well, because at the end of that one, she got the call from Howard Stark that she's head of S.h.i.e.L.D.
Yeah, and that's where I got that from.
Well, exactly. I think that could be any day in her life. I don't think that was the first time that she did something extraordinary. You know what I mean?
Right, but don't you think this series has to be a prequel to that moment, right?
Or is that going to be within the series and it builds up from there? Or that's going to be like...
Because I kept thinking this would be that would have been the entry point. Now we're seeing what happens after that. But to me, it feels like this is before she's been made head of S.h.i.e.L.D. and she's still dealing with all this crap in the office. And the way this ends is her getting basically assigned to a desk where she's essentially a secretary. She goes out and does this thing, and Howard Stark calls her up and makes her head of S.h.i.e.L.D.
Question is, we've kind of seen that. Question is, when does that happen?
And is that going to happen? Is that canon?
I don't think these shorts are entirely canon.
You don't?
I don't think. I don't.
I think which ones aren't though? Because the funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer.
Yeah,
that's
canon.
I mean, the only ones that you could argue aren't are the one with the Mandarin and the Agent Carter one.
They said that's kind of canon. That's their little if they play it off. But I guess my thing here is they could have stretched that out. You know what I mean? Like, we got a short, but we don't know about the time period that this all took place in. Like, it could have been like, hey, that was the first time she picked up the call, and then, hey, it cuts to, 5 seasons later, and that's where she gets you're now director of S.h.i.e.L.D. She clears Howard, then Howard starts doing more stuff to help to build up S.h.i.e.L.D. They go back to, being what they're meant to be, and then she becomes director.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like... I don't want to say you've got to take it for what it is, because it is a short, but you think you've got to. This is everything in the middle, from the time she made that first pickup of the phone to the end. This is all like the middle of that for her to become director.
Okay.
So you think this is going to be a few seasons down the line?
If they get a few seasons. If not, if they don't get renewed, then maybe that is the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the end point. Or we're just supposed to assume that's the end point.
Right.
Now, do you think they will kind of tie it up neatly? A lot of times when they kind of can a show like that, it just kind of,
No, I think because Marvel and it's on ABC and it's all part of their universe, yeah, I think they will get a chance to tie it up.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, they're going to get that chance.
Yeah.
So even if they say we're on edge for Agent Carter, we don't know if we want to bring her back at the end of this, they will probably do a 2-hour Carter finale or something.
Right.
Because Marvel and Disney have invested too much money in this entire Marvel Cinematic Universe to just cut it off right there.
Right.
Right.
Well, a lot of times things sell better, when they go to DVD sometimes than they did.
Well, and hey, maybe they pick it up on Netflix.
Right.
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 You've got a complete season. You've got
Or maybe
tie
they
up.
view it like I just said they're doing with Daredevil, where this is an 8-hour movie, and that's the Peggy Carter story, and we'll leave it at that.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, but I think that they really, really need this strong female character.
I do too. And I think that this was a big win for them. I mean, once again, I can't think of a female character that's been done this way with this current wave of superheroes and, these comic shows. She's so different.
Yeah. I
they
agree with
need
that.
this. And this really, when you talk about, DC versus Marvel TV and everyone's like, "Oh, DC gets it so right. Marvel gets the movies right, DC gets the TV right." You know what? This was a big win in Marvel's book, in my opinion.
I thought too. And I'm looking at some of the reaction and some of the comments, and it's surprisingly kind of going either way. Some people just don't get it. And
well, I think the people that don't get it don't like the timey feel. They don't get, because you're looking at a character in the 40s. I mean, this is what, 1947,
right?
In this universe, and people aren't relating to that. They don't understand that this is how it was and this is how she had to be. Because most of the stuff I read was, again, stuff against Peggy Carter. Why she doesn't stand up for herself. She's playing the dumb, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, go back, people, and watch the old Wonder Woman TV series.
Right.
Especially season 1, when she was the secretary. Guess what? She was Wonder Woman.
Right.
Right.
And, she would be like, "Oh, I don't know, Steve."
Yeah.
With the smile at the camera, breaking the fourth wall.
Wow, a little busting out an impression there. We're just full of them tonight.
Mm. Yeah,
I am multi-talented.
Yeah, that's what I would
that's what
say.
it is. I think people don't get it, but I agree with you. This was a win, and for the most part, most of the critics and things I've seen, that this was really, really well received. My hope is they don't fall back into their trap like they did with the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then draw things out, which I don't think they can. But
They've only
maybe
got
they
8
can.
episodes. I'm telling you, the preview for the rest of the season seemed like it was rocking. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in that preview.
Right. And I really think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think the takeoff was so rocky that they had to kind of backpedal quite a bit. And I don't think that's this issue here at all.
Right.
Well, I'm wondering if that's why they went with 8 episodes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's if we would have got a full, like when we first heard this, I thought it was a full 20 episode season.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, no, we're gonna make it 13. No, we're gonna make it 8 in between the break. And I think they found that sweet spot, because if you look at a lot of the big popular TV shows, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, these shows that have people they're so like crazy for them, they are shorter seasons than regular network television.
Yeah.
Right.
And they come in at the time when there's no competition.
Right.
This is the perfect time. You go in between, you have 8 episodes. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes back. You keep the viewership. When Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of peters out, you've got your summer. You bring some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or another storyline, and you keep up that factor. Yeah, I think I think you might have hit on something. I think these kind of in between things are a perfect opportunity for them to do little short bursts like this, and then you've got everybody vested in this, and they'll wait around till summer because they've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the meantime.
Right. And that's what they could do with this, because people are like, "Oh, well, summer's dead for TV shows." Not really anymore. You have
anymore.
a short season. Burn Notice played a lot during the summer. Game of Thrones is basically during the summer. So you've got shows that survived, again, on a shorter scale. So you give us 8 episodes, Agent Carter here. You tell this great story. You clear Howard Stark's name, and then guess what? Agent Carter season 2, you're showing some more stuff and some more lead into how she becomes director. And then season 3, she can become the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we can see the S.H.I.E.L.D., the Hydra infiltration, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Crazy Easter eggs here and there, and you never really need. And at that point, if they give us her in that place, you don't need to have like this big send off episode, or if they end up canceling it ever, or they want to go in a different direction and move away from Peggy Carter. We know the story then,
right? I was just sitting here thinking about everything you were saying about how these shows are, where there's 16 episodes or 12 episodes, and how they divide them up. And, the big trend is to do this where they take this break. And I think Marvel did a great job by plugging the hole. So they have, 10 or 12 episodes of S.H.I.E.L.D., 11 episodes, I think. And then they take a nice break. And during that break, they're showing Agent Carter. Then they're going to come back. And then in the spring, I think it's April 15th, Daredevil hits. They've got the Avengers. They've got the movies. Like, they've got that filling in those gaps type things. But as we were talking about this, I started thinking about what's wrong with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think I know something that would strengthen the show. Do either of you guys watch Once Upon a Time?
No.
Okay. The reason I bring that show up is it does something that is... You would think that every show would kind of do this, but they don't. And I think that they've gotten their way around this. Hey, telling a tight story in 12 episodes like Walking Dead does. What they do is at their mid-season break, when they do their cliffhanger, it is a distinct second story. So the first half of the season is a story. This year it was Frozen. It had the Frozen characters. It had the Snow Queen. It told this story. By the time it went to the mid-season break, that was essentially resolved, and in come the new baddies for the second half. It's another story. So instead of looking at it as this is season 4, it almost feels like we're going into season 8, because each half season is a complete story. And that's something that I don't think a lot of shows do. I can't think of any that really do that effectively with the 22 episode season. And I think if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did that, so like we're set up right now. We know we had this big setup with Sky and all that going into the second season. You could argue that the first half was one story, but really, could you tell me exactly what that story was and how it resolved? I mean, yeah, they got to the place, and they killed the Nazi supposedly. But it didn't seem like a defined story. It's not like when you read the comics and you go, these 4 issues are this Daredevil story. And then at the end of that is solved. And now it's the next Daredevil series for 8 issues or for however many it is.
Right.
Wouldn't they be better served if they actually did that, defined it each half season as its own story? Yeah, there's ties going forward, but can you imagine if you had a complete Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. story, goes to the break, cliffhanger, you're like, oh my gosh, the second half is going to be this. Then you get 8 episodes of Agent Carter. Then you get the second half, which is not a continuation of that other story, but another story. I think that would fix the show.
Well, and I think that's been a lot of people's complaint.
It would
for
get
the whole
rid of that.
Season.
It would get rid of that wasting time thing that we've talked about.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's, like you said, there's so many storylines that we're still waiting for them to develop. And, I only think they kind of resolved the Flowers thing. Did they really even fully resolve the whole Sky thing?
Well, no, they didn't. All they did was they set us up for a cliffhanger for the next half of the season, but we have no idea what this next story is. The way they set this up, that could be something we're all waiting to see, but it's just kind of a lingering story that goes on. It's a thread. What I'm asking for are defined stories, and then you have the threads going out of it. When I think back, like shows like X-Files, they had their mythology, And where it fell flat was it didn't have some of this cohesive storytelling at times. You know, it was great for how many seasons, and then it fell apart. Well, Shield, I think, if it rethought itself and did X story for this, X story for that, and really make them a defined story with an ending, I think it would be a lot stronger. The second half of the first season was strong because it was the story of Bill Paxton. Can you tell me what the first half of the story was?
No.
No. Can you tell me what the first half of this story was? I mean, you can tell me parts of it, but can you tell me what the story was?
The death of Xena.
Oh, stop it. How long till she comes back?
He's not coming.
She's coming back. I'm telling you.
We'll see what you've done.
You know what?
I
I'm
know.
going right on IMDb.
I started the Spider-Man hole again with Xena.
I'm looking it up. What's her name? Lucy Lawless.
I don't think Xena's. I think it's more like a small pit.
How dare you?
Quicksand.
How dare you?
Just to correct something that you said, Daredevil comes out April 10th.
April 10th.
April 15th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so if April 15th comes and everyone's talking about it, you're like, oh, it's spoiled. Rob said April 15th. Okay. Then you're an idiot because it's April 10th.
And it's a Friday, so take off of work and enjoy a weekend of Daredevil.
Hey, you know what? That's what we're going to do. We're going to bust that show out. So, yeah, it still only has her listed as being on one episode as Izzy Hartley. But I'm telling you, she's coming back.
Not coming back.
She's coming back. She's coming back. I'm telling you.
Oh,
what happens when I'm right? Don't you guys? You have to eat crow on your other show, right?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. You know what? You're going to eat crow on your other show to say that I was right.
I will say that you were right.
There you go. And if I'm wrong, we'll never know because this goes on forever. She's coming back.
It'll be the last season. They'll be like, this is the last episode ever of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And Lucy Lawless walks in and like, I've been pulling the strings the whole time. And Rob was right. That's what she's going to say. And everyone's going to go, who's Rob? Is he part of Leviathan? Charlie will have a whole theory. I know who Rob is. He was in issue 42 of The Flash. The Marvel Flash, a little-known comic by Marvel.
Episode number. Well, speaking of Marvel, not to keep us on the Lucy Lawless bit, but what about our first glimpse at Ant-Man?
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap it up with that. What'd you guys think?
I did not see Paul Rudd being cast in that role, but I'm really looking kind of forward to it. And I love the last scene where he says, can we do something about the name?
Yeah, right.
Because it doesn't have like the same kind of impact it had.
Like Superman.
Right.
Batman. Like, Iron Man. Yeah. I'm Ant-Man.
Yeah, and seeing him ride the flying ant was pretty awesome.
Was that an ant or was that like a wasp or something?
I don't know. Flying ant.
One of the flying ants, red ants.
I do think they have to fix. I mean, it's still a little early. So I think what we saw was not a finished product on that because it looked a little too blurry. It looked a little messed up. I really wanted it to be clearer, but I was like, man, how cool is that going to be? Yeah, I thought it was awesome when he was in the shower and he did the test and he shrunk down. I was like, oh, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I have much higher hopes for that now than I did before because I really didn't think they would do it justice, and I can't believe I didn't have faith in Marvel.
Yeah.
Always have faith.
Always have faith. Come on, Jack.
I do wonder. I love Paul Rudd, and I like the casting of him in this role because, I think they're looking for, the snarky hero,
right.
Who can be lovable. In your Robert Downey Jr. and your Chris Pratt kind of role, and thinking about it, I know everybody was pretty mad that Pym wasn't Ant-Man, and I kept reading articles. The history of Pym, and he's not the greatest of Marvel characters, And thinking back, I think Marvel did the right thing with having this be Scott Lang and having the Hank Pym character be in the background.
Yeah, I agree. Well, plus, you know what? Let's say this is huge. Let's say this is, another Guardians of the Galaxy and people just start dying for more. You don't, Michael Douglas is older. You could cast a young guy and go back and do a series just like Agent Carter about Hank Pym.
In 68 Spider-Man.
Oh, stop it. I'd be so into that.
78 Spider-Man.
Yeah,
whatever.
an Ant-Man in that. You know what? It would have to look like a really green screened like Ant-Man. Like it'd be all choppy around the edges.
It'd be awesome.
Oh, it'd be awesome. Oh, and I want 68 Ghost Rider to show up too.
He's just a guy on fire.
Just a guy on fire. No, he wouldn't even be on fire. It'd be made out of like flexible foam rubber.
One little thing I want to add, I guess before we end, just because there was a rumor out. Well, it's not a rumor, but Jeremy Renner posted that he was back in the Hawkeye outfit.
I saw that,
and people were speculating. Is he back for reshoots? Are they expanding his role in Avengers? I think, we're a few months away now from Avengers. They're not shooting anything right now.
Well, you know what? But that's what they said is that they had been doing a few reshoots on some things. I mean, who knows?
I think this is for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think this is the tie-in for S.H.I.E.L.D. with Avengers Age of Ultron.
Or maybe his suit was in the cleaners and he says, shoot, what am I going to wear? Oh, this will work.
It's like, I love purple and black leather.
Nobody will notice.
I wonder what Lil will think of my bulge in this.
Oh, man, that bulge.
Hey, before we go, can I do the joke?
What joke?
What did the Pink Panther say when he stepped on an ant?
Oh.
That ant, that ant, that ant, that ant, that ant, that ant, that ant.
Well, that was the last episode of Nuff Said.
All right. Everyone unsubscribed right now.
P.U.
We can always edit that out later.
No. Did you notice that that it did show Cassandra Lang in the preview? Did you catch that?
The daughter?
No.
Yes, the daughter is Cassandra Lang. She is another superhero. She's in the Young Avengers.
Mm.
So pretty interesting. When they showed her, I was like, wait a minute, I think his daughter is somebody. I pulled it up. I'm like, yep, sure enough, it's Cassandra Lang. And here's what I'm wondering. If they've got stuff planned out to 2029 or whatever, do you think they're going to do a Young Avengers? Like they've got that for like Avengers 5 or Avengers 6. Like because as these guys get old, do you think they're going to go, okay, we've had these different incarnations of these older heroes. Let's do a Young Avengers story. Do you think they were laying groundwork for that already?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past them, and I think that might be the most awesome thing we saw in that preview.
I enjoyed the Lionsgate Next Avengers cartoon, and Ultron was the bad guy in that, where they had all the kids. You had Captain America, Black Widow's kid,
right?
Hawkeye's kid, Wasp and Ant-Man's kid, Thor's daughter. It was I enjoyed it. And
Didn't Iron Man have a kid like Iron Lad or some weird name like that?
Not in that cartoon, no, because actually he was him and the Incredible and Hulk were the only ones that actually survived Ultron. And he was actually Iron Man was raising the kids.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's the dad.
They even had Black Panther and Storm's kid in there as well.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's actually a really, really cool cartoon. My kids loved it. I mean, that's what my
oldest. What was
it
called? It was the Young Avengers.
I think it's the Next Avengers.
The Next Avengers. I have it on Blu-ray. I've seen it 17 times.
I do have it on Blu-ray, and I probably have seen it 17 times.
I'm writing it down. Next Avengers.
Yes.
I'll check that one out because I'm telling you, when I saw that, my brain started going like, wait a minute, is this laying groundwork for something? Are they that far out that they're able to do that? I think they are.
They could be, and but they do have. I do think they have an Iron Lad. Like they had a comic series also, which was different than this cartoon. But I really liked this cartoon because I like the whole that Ultron actually killed all the heroes.
Yeah,
Except for Iron Man,
and
he was trying to get away from Iron Man and the Hulk. Because the Hulk can't die. The Hulk was living in Banner was living in a cave by himself, like off the grid. And Ultron just made this entire robot city, and there was only like this little band of humans left, like a rebellion. And it was actually Hawkeye's kid that was running that, while Iron Man had his.
Did he get screen time? Because this Hawkeye doesn't.
He did. He actually got some good screen time.
The kid bested the dad again. Son of a gun.
Always. But it was a cool concept. I like the cartoon. Go check it out if you haven't. I think it was on Netflix for a while. I don't know if it's still on Netflix.
Yeah, man, I'm going to check that out for sure.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, it does. You know what doesn't sound cool? One last thing here. Man, that Fantastic Four movie sounds like a bomb. I don't know, man. All the press, everything I keep reading, I'm like, I keep vacillating, and I don't know. I read something yesterday that just made me go, no, you know what it was? I saw those pictures again of the Thing and Doctor Doom, and I'm beginning to think less and less that Doctor Doom was like a prototype or a stand-in. I'm starting to think that might be what Doom is going to look like.
Well,
who's in charge of that?
Josh Trank. Yeah. No, not me.
Dr. Doom would never look like that if Lil was in charge.
I would have re-released the Roger Corman 1994 Fantastic Four in theaters right now over this movie.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Speaking of turds, I think that might be one. Thank goodness that's not MCU.
Nope.
I got one more, and this
All
is
right.
it. This is it for me. Did you read the article about James Gunn where he was talking about the characters in Guardians of the Galaxy that he wanted to have, but they don't have the rights to?
No, I didn't hear. Who?
Okay. We'll be talking about this on our Live at the Blue Box. We do a show there called This Week in Geek now, and I'm going to bring this up Saturday a little. I'm just telling you right now, so do some research. He mentioned a bunch of characters that I didn't really know, and he was like, oh, these were all Guardians at one point, and I'd like to have them in here, but we don't own the rights. The one that made me crazy, I forgot was a Marvel character. Do you remember Rom Space Knight?
I remember the Rom comic book because I think I have.
Okay. I had the toy. Before he was a Marvel comic, there was a toy. And it was like a couple years later, they came out with the comic of Rom Space Knight. Oh my gosh. It was just this dumb robot, and he had light up eyes, and it was the 70s. So it was like this blocky. I loved this guy. And I had the big 12-inch Star Wars figures, and I would always play with him with those Star Wars figures. Like I was like doing these mashups of this thing. And then when the comic book came out, I had a few issues. I loved it, but I completely forgot about it until I saw this. And James Gunn is saying, like, this would be like one of his number one gets if he could get Rom Space Knight in a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Oh my gosh, make it happen. And if not, let's make it happen on Spider-Man 68. Because nobody's got the TV rights to Rom the Space Knight. I guarantee it.
That would, if
Do
they
you
could
remember
do something
Rom,
like,
Jack?
I don't.
Ah.
I wish I did, because that would be a total, like, if they could do another Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy with that would be magic.
Oh, I'm telling you, you guys have no idea. I loved that toy when I was a kid, and the comics were really cool that I remember. Like I'm going to have to go back and get those and reread those because I remember liking what I read then, but that was like 12-year-old eyes. Like, oh look, everything's cool. They're shooting space guns. But when I saw that he was a Marvel character, that would be something I was like, oh my gosh, please make that happen.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that your voice changed.
It was actually exactly the same.
I have probably a dozen or so of his comics because I bought, I used to buy like blind box comics. People were saying, I remember he's, like a white robot or a silver robot with red eyes.
Yeah.
Wasn't
yeah,
he
it was
in a
awesome.
couple
It
other
had-
series.
It had
Like-
these 2 buttons on the back, and it would make noise, and it had a light up gun. Oh, so awesome!
Well, there you have it. Rom the Space Knight.
There you have it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. Rom Space Knight. I think I always called him Rom the Space Knight, but I think it's just Rom Space Knight. Rom : Space Knight.
Easy with the colon there, Sparky.
Let's see. Better get that checked out. At
Yeah,
your
don't go
age.
rooting around anything there.
See, and that's the fun part of our jokes. You actually have to listen to the podcast to get them.
Or after Jack's last joke, please continue to listen
Yeah. Please do not unsubscribe.
because
Da-da.
that is a party killer.
Da-da, da-da,
Yep, there it is.
da-da, da-da, da-da.
All right, can we end this thing?
I don't know
Let's
that we
end it.
can.
I'm ending it. Thanks for listening, everybody. You can find our past episodes of this, Super Connectivity, the Marvel Roundup by Phil on our website, as well as all of our other podcasts at www.southgatemediagroup.com. Please join us as we go through Agent Carter and lead our way back into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And we still also are going to have a bonus episode in here somewhere of a roundtable with all the people that are normally part of the Nuff Said universe. So that'll be fun. And I was being sincere. That wasn't a that'll be fun. You can follow us on Twitter at Nuff Said Pod. You can follow me at our Southgate. Alil, you're at
LOGEKZ, and that's for the League of Geeks, and that's Geeks with a Z.
Yeah, it's Geeks with a Z. Don't forget that. And if you don't listen to that show, you're missing out. It's awesome. And Jack, what do you tweet from?
I at J Wengroski and a Blacklist Pod.
Excellent. All right. I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Until next time, enough said.
Enough
Enough
said.
said.
That would raise our ratings.
Or something.
Um,
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Oh wait, there we go.
Oh, that's right. Alex. Every time I try to tell a joke, there you go.